Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this, what I'll term as our first post-season webinar, just to get everything going for the winter. Glad you could all join us on this Monday morning, and we try and keep these quite sharp, so I won't waffle on any further, but merely introduce Neil, who will tell us a little bit about what he's going to talk about this morning, and a little bit about himself and his company. So over to you, Neil. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. So looking to talk about digital survival, tips, tools, and AI advice for attractions online, predominantly around the website side of things. Obviously, as we go into I'll call it the quiet season, but I don't know that there is a quiet season much now, is there? But as we go into that, obviously, a lot of brands are looking at kind of rebranding or kind of tweaking what they do. Um, it's that kind of idea where we can kind of look at, well, what works online, what doesn't, and what might people want to be thinking about um, going into the closed season for some attractions. Just quickly about me. Uh, I'm Neil, owner of Semantic, and we're a UK-based agency that brings attractions to life online. And our Loop platform is a tailor-made platform for attractions, essentially. So it's a new way of attractions getting online nice and quickly, because we sometimes get a bit of confusion between what the two are. And Semantic's been going several decades now, lots of clients in the sector, um, always looking to kind of grow and help every attraction grow online. Um, Brief it about Loop in kind of 1 minute, because I always get told off from my marketing manager that I never tell everyone what we do. Loop, obviously, it's where your website being your most important brand asset, which is like the online showcase of your attraction. And what Loop does is give you a load of modules and components that are optimized for attractions in an intuitive kind of package, no devs needed, fast to launch. So it's typically like 4 to 8 weeks to go live on a Loop site. And then it always stays up to date and evolves with you. So you don't have big kind of complicated builds and everything. So the takeaway really is if you've been putting off doing a website rebuild, then actually Loop kind of gets you there much quicker, because you can get it done within a matter of weeks without compromising on the quality, low upfront costs, simple subscription packages, and then a nice easy process to kind of get you up and running with a nice kind of shiny new website. Happy to do kind of free website reviews, and there's kind of Bowper discounts and free content migration for Bowper members as well. Just drop me a line. And also, because time's quite limited anyway this morning, I've kind of kept this fairly kind of broad and top line. So if there's stuff that kind of piques your interest, then just reach out to me and I'm happy to jump on calls or go through things in more detail. But I think I've got probably 20, 25 minutes of slides, and try and think of a few questions. Otherwise, we'll just be stuck with Paul asking questions at the end. So we want to try and get a few questions in as well. But anyway, that's the kind of the salesy bit sorted. Where are we? This is what I wanted to cover in the deck, really, in these kind of 5 areas. So where are we? The kind of evolving role of the website kind of being a hub for your attraction, our kind of nice framework that we've been working on, and then kind of touching on the threats and opportunities, and that's kind of the stuff around AI and some of the shifts there in terms of the tech and customer behavior, and then hopefully giving you a few pointers about where to start with all this with your team as well. Starting with where we are kind of in general. So I think obviously as attraction marketers or owners will know, it's a pretty tough time for attractions. So there's a bit of a seasickness warning on this slide. So stormy waters, I think. Like Semantic's been around obviously a couple of decades, and this is kind of one of those times where everything feels quite kind of challenging, like attractions are having to work harder to get the same kind of number of visitors, uh, and sometimes they're kind of seeing fairly slow visitor growth. Some are kind of bucking that trend, but typically it's kind of fairly static year on year. Families have got less money to spend, obviously, as we know, and the costs for attractions are kind of going up and up, and you're getting kind of fewer resources to do more things. There's kind of increased competition with your kind of guests always looking for bargains and new experiences, uh, combined with kind of rising guest expectations. And then also we've got these kind of big technological or big tech kind of shifts with the AI, and again combined with the rising guest expectations and increasing complexity of systems as well. So all these things kind of come together as a bit of a perfect storm, but kind of distilling it down into the four headlines we've been looking at more over the summer. Um, you got kind of flat visitor numbers. So according to the Visit Britain research I read, it's only kind of an average of 1.4%. So we're all having to work quite hard to get the visitors in. The disposable income drop is really interesting, I think. So I saw kind of an article in the Times in the summer with this drop in average household disposable income. So it's about what, 170, 180 pounds a month lower. And that was just in 3 months going up to July. And for attractions, obviously, that's like a whole day out less that these families can afford as well. So we're having to work harder to showcase the value and convince guests to kind of part with their money. And there's almost this idea that every visit is sort of like a mini investment now. So, it's getting more and more expensive to go out, all the travel and food and everything. And it's how you can kind of mitigate families gambling that much money to make sure they have an amazing time. Um, so I think those kind of impulse day visits are starting to get harder and harder to see for attractions. This one was kind of from the VAC conference last year. So that's the Visitor Attractions Conference, which hopefully a lot of you will be familiar with. I'm going to that in October again. But just a takeaway from that was around the visitor market shrinking and aging kind of visitor demographics. So the types of visitors with the most money are getting less and less able. So you're getting these kind of accessibility challenges that we need to communicate online as well. And then finally, obviously, that kind of technical shift, and the one that we're paying a lot of attention to, is this shift from SEO to AEO, which is answer engine optimization. And that's, we think, going to be the way that guests are going to be finding out more and more about attractions in the years to come as well. So I'll kind of touch on that in the kind of threats and opportunities part as well. Um, and obviously, combined with like what you guys have to do day to day as attraction marketers, there's a lot to think about. Um, so, where on earth do you even start with all of that? And obviously, we're a bit biased being a website agency, but we think your website can and should be able to help with all of these challenges. With your website helping you move from kind of surviving to thriving. And there's kind of a couple of core principles that we think websites should help you with. So, your website should be kind of an enabler. So, it should be nice and fast, simple, easy for you to try new ideas. It should be the kind of hub for all your marketing, a place to kind of streamline your operations, and a way to kind of enhance the overall guest experience as well. Which kind of brings me on to the second part around the shifting role of the website in general. So this is kind of the idea that your website should be a hub for all your marketing efforts and for your guests overall. Um, so if you saw me present at the National Marketing Conference, you probably saw this slide, but semantics been around for a few decades. So it started where, in 1999, it was enough just to have like a brochure website, and that was all you needed. But then rapidly kind of transitioned through like e-commerce, the mobile first side of things in the 2010s, and then kind of shifting to be more part of the whole experience before kind of where we think it's going, shifting to the kind of AI bots and tailored content as well. And we've kind of mapped this into like this kind of layers that we call the loop stack. So you can kind of think about where your attraction is on this stack at the moment. So obviously, back in the day, it was just enough to have a website and a static brochure. That's kind of level one that we call it. The second one, obviously, the transactional side of things and e-commerce. So letting people buy tickets and buy online. That's kind of your level two. Level three, obviously, kind of go back 10, 12 years, is the kind of mobile first and the shift to mobiles. And then level four, you've got the experiential, supporting the whole visit and enhancing that guest experience. And then level five, kind of where we are now and into the future, is the AI, helping your site to assist and adapt intelligently for your guests. So we think most attractions are somewhere around this kind of mobile first. They're kind of just getting to grips with having to check everything on their phones and making sure the booking journey is really seamless. Um, and now we've obviously got all this extra stuff to add onto the top. And I think the main kind of takeaway on this is just about thinking bigger. Um, so yeah, thinking back to that flow and the evolving role of the website, it's no longer enough just to be online. Your website needs to stand out, empower your team, and support guests at every stage of their experience. So it's sort of not just your kind of online shop window, it's like the shop itself and the customer services, like that whole kind of guest journey is where your website can help as well. And sort of bringing that to life a bit, I just wanted to go through a few examples in different areas. So obviously marketing, as we know, like the website and marketing are properly hand in hand. So lots and lots the websites can do to help improve your marketing efforts and make sure the digital side of your marketing is performing as well as possible. So that's great. I won't go through all these in individually, but looking at like guest services, there's a great opportunity for your website to level up what you're doing for guest service, your guest service experience. So that's kind of layering in like help centers, FAQs, so you can kind of have your internal policies or external guest facing FAQs as well. You can kind of think about how your website ties in with your on-site signage as well. So kind of QR codes linking through to key pages or kind of digital touch screens and stuff, kind of pulling through key information. Site search, obviously making sure everything's really easy to find. And then what we're seeing is this shift to kind of AI chatbots. And one customer's got like an AI phone agent as well now. So you can actually phone their customer service and it's all just an AI person that kind of talks back to you, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so again, like the role of the website just broadening out, not just that shop window. So operations, you can get your ops team involved to put any key alerts and announcements, like any kind of vital visitor information, updates, kind of pulling out all the kind of maps and event specific maps, because that can help kind of alleviate guest bottlenecks or shifting guests around to different points of the attraction. Obviously kind of accessibility guides and videos, and that's really key with the kind of aging visitor demographics that I mentioned earlier. Obviously emergencies, like your ops guys should have access to put emergency alerts and pop-ups and stuff quickly, and ultimately kind of building in contact and feedback loops as well. And finally, obviously, the website's absolutely key to driving conversions, mainly around booking and revenue, obviously. But you've got these kind of secondary call to actions as well, which I think sometimes get a bit forgotten. But I've got a few slides on that a bit later. But yeah, it's that kind of idea that you want to think bigger with the website, enhancing every step of your customer experience. That's kind of the key here. Um, and so how do you kind of bring all that together? So we've been working on this framework. So we call it the NICE framework. And the idea being that NICE obviously conveniently spells out these four areas. And we sort of use this in two ways. So you want your website to make sure all these areas are covered. So nurture, inspire, convert, and engage. All four areas you want to kind of cover that online, which ties into those kind of examples I was just going through. Um, so that's kind of the one sanity check to be looking at, going, oh, well, does my website deliver against all of these different areas? And then the other part is thinking if there's a new idea or something we want to add to the website, which of these does it help with? So obviously, if you're doing something that doesn't help with any of these, you kind of think, oh, okay, there's probably more important other things we need to be looking at. Um, but obviously, the more observant amongst you probably notice that these two are sort of around the wrong way. So you could look at it as the INTS framework, but that's not quite as nice and easy to remember. But from a guest perspective, obviously, if it's a new customer, we want to be kind of inspiring them first and making them super excited to visit. Then it's about kind of nurturing and reassuring them, and then kind of converting them either with kind of primary conversions like bookings and purchasing, or the secondary ones to get them to sign up, and then engaging as well. So I've kind of flipped these around in the following slides. So I've got a slide on each one just to kind of try and reinforce this whole idea that, yeah, the website can help with all of these different areas. So to try and inspire your guests, this is all about kind of building the buzz, firing up their imaginations, and obviously making your attraction irresistible compared to the competition. And there's that kind of idea that obviously if you've got a website and it all looks a bit kind of rubbish and cluttered or confusing or not high enough quality, then you're pretty much kind of losing visitors before they even leave the house. So that's this whole kind of making sure your website's kind of seen as an absolutely critical part of your guest experience. So thinking about in each of these areas, I've got what guests actually want, and then there's kind of a website checklist I'll come on to, some metrics, and then kind of where to start as well, because I'm conscious a lot of the times I put loads and loads of ideas, but then there's I try and kind of then prioritize it so you've got something to kind of take away and talk about with your team as well. Or if you're already doing that, then you can kind of pat yourselves on the back as well. But yeah, so what do guests actually want in terms of the inspiring? So it's looking to see that you're offering a groundbreaking, exciting, or fulfilling new experience. So whether that's kind of having fun and making memories, or they're just tired parents and they haven't had enough caffeine and they need to keep the kids occupied, or if you offer kind of more conservation or heritage sides of things, then there's the kind of learning and making a positive impact as well. So how does your website, or how can your website then help with this? And I think my challenge here is like you could have like 30 or more different points in this checklist, but then we'd be here till the end of the day. So just distilling it down to these kind of 6 or 7 here. Obviously, for your website to succeed in inspiring your visitors, it needs to be kind of vibrant, engaging, kind of showing like relevant imagery to excite your guests. Obviously, showcasing what's new, but balancing that with what's actually at the attraction as well. Because often we see marketers kind of forget the core offering. So it's like, oh, you might have loads and loads of roller coasters, but it's just got, this latest event, but you forget that new visitors wouldn't necessarily be aware of all the rides and everything else that you offer. You want kind of dynamic storytelling elements, kind of visual maps, planners, itineraries, and ultimately kind of creating a great first impression with your homepage and any seasonal campaigns. A couple of KPIs or metrics you might want to measure. So for a lot of the Loop clients, we start pulling these together into kind of custom dashboards and reporting. So that's a good way to kind of start measuring these KPIs and sharing it with your team. And then, so where to start on this one? You want to do this kind of 5-second mobile first homepage review with your team, and then try the whole purchase journey. Ideally every week, but otherwise every month, and get the kind of wider team involved as well. So yeah, where to start on this inspiring your guests, remembering those first impressions, right? So you've got to think mobile first all the time. Hence that kind of mobile first review. Just grab your phone, grab the team, 15 minutes, get a coffee, and look at how your site is looking and engaging your guests on their phones. And then you kind of want to balance the speed with the visuals and the impact. So getting kind of dynamic videos and exciting content and images, balancing that obviously with the page speed of the main homepage, showing what's at the attraction. Like I said, keeping it really simple, making sure guests don't need to think to have to understand what you offer. And then obviously making sure the content is high quality and engaging as well. So coming on to nurture. Um, so we've kind of inspired the guests, got them excited. So this is all about kind of removing the doubt, building trust, and then obviously hoping to win the booking, which could be across one or more sessions. So what do guests actually want in terms of being nurtured on the website? So lots of reassurance around the pricing, kind of easy to read policies, weather kind of reassurance, anything you can do to increase the flexibility. Like I said, with visits almost being like a mini investment, it's like, oh, how can you kind of mitigate the downsides of that investment and make sure that guests are confident kind of parting with their cash? Obviously, making sure the attraction's suitable and has all the accessibility information. Um, they want to kind of see people like them enjoying it. So making sure you've got a diverse mix of imagery and video. Obviously, people love a bargain, so making sure they feel like they've got the best deal and the clarity of what they get versus the price and that ROI on their investment, of course. So again, on the website checklist, um, you can kind of, again, this could have 20 or 30 different points, but trying to distill it down, you want it so it's kind of one click through to get to your booking engine or pricing from any page. So just remember that as much as we have all our pages kind of crafted and they're all nice and tied together, like your visitors can come in from any page whatsoever. So you need it so any page is consistent and gets you back to the key information to drive revenue as well as possible. Obviously, kind of showcasing the value throughout. And that could be things that you guys potentially take for granted. So sometimes we see like attractions that maybe offer gift aid and that offers like the year pass. That's kind of buried in the small print or something, but try and bring those kind of added value points up higher in the guest journey so they're kind of visible. Again, looking at it on mobiles, so it's kind of up nice and prominent. Obviously, making sure everything's kind of accurate with all the ops information and FAQs and everything. Um, Making sure you've got kind of relevant upsells and decoy pricing, so different levels to increase the average order value. Making sure you've got really good site search and help center FAQs. I'll mention FAQs a lot really because that's really key for the AI and the AEO as well. Yeah, making sure your kind of policies are kind of friendly, so you can kind of guarantee if you've got like a rainy day, return visit or guarantees like that. Try and make them as friendly and easy to understand as possible, and then ultimately get that kind of inquiry and feedback loop built into the site as well, so it's quick for people to ask questions and get immediate answers. Um, Couple of KPIs you might want to think about to measure here is obviously kind of click throughs, like how many people are getting through to booking. How helpful are your FAQs? Like in the Loop sites, we do a little, was this helpful or not? Yes or no? And then you can obviously see the most helpful FAQs, and obviously address any that are less helpful. Obviously, you can kind of look at bounce rates and engagements on key pages. And we kind of recommend doing kind of monthly surveys as well, or kind of ongoing surveys at key points. And then tied into that is kind of where to start on this one. So the kind of gold dust one on here is doing like an exit survey. So when someone's just finished their booking, so they've gone through to the order confirmed, they've completed their booking, then pop up a little survey, kind of say, oh, thanks for booking. Would you give us 2 minutes to give us some feedback? And then you can ask like two or three questions, like how easy was the process, that kind of thing. But the main one is, was there anything that nearly stopped you from booking? Because you can then bet if there's people that nearly didn't book because of these reasons, that's likely to be causing issues for other people that would stop them booking. So that's a really good one to start. So yeah, with the nurturing step, where to start. It's all about the clarity, simplicity, reassurance. So yeah, that kind of exit surveys. If you've got the budget to do user testing videos or kind of heat map and hotjar kind of survey analysis, that's really good to do as well. Make sure your kind of FAQs are really clear and that you're kind of reviewing those with the wider team consistently. And then obviously make sure key information is really easy to get to, is nice and kind of structured and easy to find as well. So onto the sea of nice. So convert. Again, this one's like a whole presentation in itself, so I probably can't go through all of these. But yeah, what guests actually want, it's just got to be really, really easy, mobile optimized, the least hassle possible for the most flexibility for the best price. Um, and yeah, the main one here, if you haven't looked at it for a while, is just look at your mobile purchase process, um, and just make sure all your booking call to actions and buttons and everything are all consistent. You've got really consistent, clear pricing. Like if you haven't audited and analyzed your pricing, you're probably leaving money on the table in terms of like making sure all the prices are consistent and have decent kind of upsells and different package levels. Try to avoid hidden charges. If you think of that like as a guest perspective, Sometimes we see like attractions don't have any online discounts, and then you'll get partway through the booking journey, and then it's oh right, okay, here's a £1.50 booking fee, or here's other kind of hidden surprises, which then actually makes it less attractive to book online than just turning up at the gate. So trying to add in those kind of online discounts and pricing messages with and avoid any hidden charges, and bundling any added value stuff into the online booking as well is really key. Absolutely no brainer here just to turn on Apple Pay and Google Pay. So I think Bionc was one of the ticketing providers that we've talked to in the past as well, but their survey said it was about a third of people use Apple Pay and Google Pay when it's enabled. So that's such a no-brainer just to turn that on and make sure that's there. Uh, Obviously, reassuring guests that the online payments are secure and kind of safe is absolutely key. Make it easy for them to get back to their baskets and recover where they got to is good as well. So if your booking provider offers like abandoned baskets or abandonment kind of email campaigns, make sure they're all turned on and check that they're all working and up to date if you haven't checked them for a while. And obviously, kind of reframe your thinking with upsells so that you think of them as enhancements to the whole guest journey as well. So it's like everything we're trying to do is obviously make that guest journey as good as possible, starting with the website. So yeah, some KPIs to measure here. These are all kind of pretty standard ones, obviously, but kind of click throughs to your booking provider, um, the conversion rate of your booking flow overall, and the revenue by channel, and then looking at kind of how people are getting through that purchase journey, where they're abandoning it, and how the goal funnel pulls together as well. So yeah, where to start? As I said, just turn on Apple Pay and Google Pay. If you've already got those, then run some kind of pricing and yield optimization research. But yeah, again, with converting people, it's all about making it as easy as possible on mobile. So those mobile payment options, simplifying the process, uh, creative kind of pricing and packages, like optimizing that kind of yield and revenue management, checking your upsells, and owning your offers and discounts. Because if you've got like a discount code box, people are going to straight away go off to Google and search for, you know, theme park X offer codes. So it may as well be you guys that then pop up at the top of the search results for that as well. And that's kind of a quick 15-minute create a little offers and discounts page, and then publish that, and then that will start bubbling up through the rankings. Then the final point of the NICE framework is engage. So that's all about building the loyalty, creating advocates to encourage repeat visits. So like the raving fans, essentially. So again, this could be a whole presentation in itself as well, but what guests actually want is obviously feeling looked after. They can kind of share the highlights, vent on the issues, get rewarded for their loyalty. If you can get some kind of surprises and delight, either as little kind of free upgrades or little kind of bonuses on the day, or little kind of birthday treats, that kind of thing. That's always great to build that engagement and stuff that guests love sharing online. And then obviously, if you can, depending on your attraction and your offering, building in that kind of ongoing relationship or helping them have like an ongoing impact. Like if you're a zoo and you're looking to kind of get donations or conservation messaging, then that can build into there as well. Lots you can do on the website to help facilitate this as well. So like newsletter signups, incentivizing the newsletter signups, dedicated kind of members and visit hubs. Um, and the kind of that's quite an easy win as well, because I think so often attractions get kind of tied up on, oh, how does our CRM work and where does that data come in? But you could just do like a slash pass holders page with like an intro, little pass holder blog, and then what's new. You could just have a pass holder content section, that's not even behind a login or anything. Like there's not that much that would go in there that would matter if non-pass holders saw it. So, if you're kind of held back by CRM or the tech there, an easy win is just to create the member hub and start adding like competitions and ongoing updates and just build that engagement as well. And then it's easier to kind of tweak and justify further investment in the CRM if you can then see the results from that. And that's probably like a couple of hours work really just to pull out that content and start advertising it to members. So yeah, you can kind of do tailored pop-ups, offers, or your kind of automated email sequences, and then that's where you can kind of build in these repeat offers, and then kind of the feedback paths and feedback loops with your guest services team as well, and obviously stay on top of reviews and guest feedback. A bunch of KPIs again, like you could have a whole dashboard on this, but ultimately kind of repeat visits, net promoter score, and the percentage of pass holders and renewals, and any kind of metrics around your email newsletters and campaigns are obviously key. Um, and I think where to start with this is just thinking about those secondary call to actions, whether they're kind of incentivizing signups and building guest loyalty so that you can kind of capture that user data. And I think as the AI and the AEO and social search gets more and more important, owning your data and building your marketing lists is going to get more and more important. So yeah, just touching on this. Yeah, you can do all these kind of exit modals like sign up forms, the member hub, like I mentioned, that relatively quick win, I think, and then just assessing your comms sequences as well. So that's sort of the nice framework. Like I said, I keep it quite broad and top lines. Ask any questions at the end. Or if you go to this URL or the QR code or anything, you can get our digital survival guide, which has got the nice framework in. It's got the loop stack, and it's got like a kind of website kind of review questionnaire as well that kind of helps you prioritize where to start, because there's a lot there. Obviously, I've probably just given you like a whole month's worth of work to go through. Um, so that can kind of help prioritize, and also potentially these threats and opportunities. So just kind of touching on these really, because I'm conscious of time. Um, and there's obviously lots, like we said, with the challenges and the stormy waters and everything. Um, so I wanted to kind of distill these down into short, medium, and long term in terms of like where we're focusing most of our efforts, and then obviously any threat you can kind of flip round with some positive thinking into opportunities as well. So short term with the kind of poor user experience and optimizing the guest experience, I think we've sort of covered that essentially with all the kind of nice framework, and the various tools like the loop stack and everything. So I won't kind of go over that in lots of detail. But sorry, in terms of the medium term one, we think it's kind of AI and AEO, and this is all about your website being like an answer engine for your attraction. So again, like this is a whole separate presentation I've given, but just touching on the key points, AI and AEO, this is all about being the best source of answers. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, AI, we're kind of, everyone just goes on about AI all the time. How much does it really matter? But obviously, Google now has started rolling out these AI overviews. So you sort of have to start paying attention to it if Google are totally kind of reworking how the search pages look. Um, and if there's an AI overview search result at the top, on average, the first organic search result sees a drop in about a third in terms of the number of people that click through to that. So starting to show in these AI overviews gets more and more important. And that's obviously tied into the growth of ChatGPT as well. Um, and there's kind of three areas you need to start thinking about for this. So it's obviously having great tech behind your website so that all the data's in there and feeding through to these tools. And then it's all about the kind of content and SEO. So making sure you've got really good FAQs and great FAQ content. Also, great SEO. So the good news is if you've got really good SEO, then you're sort of halfway there with the AEO anyway. So yeah, AEO is sort of like SEO evolving essentially. And then you've got kind of structured data and schema and everything else, which is more of a technical thing that you'll need to get your web developers to build in to your content management system as well. But that just helps the AI engines kind of pull everything together. Uh, anyway, but yeah, the kind of takeaway with all of this really to succeed in AEO, your website needs to be the best place for guests to get answers to questions. Essentially, it kind of becomes your answer hub. So it's again that kind of hub idea. Your website should have all your kind of your external guest facing questions and your internal kind of policy questions and everything. So the client I mentioned that has the voice AI assistant that you can phone up, they've got the internal FAQs and everything that only their guest services team kind of sees and updates, but that then feeds directly into the AI assistant, and also the AI assistants kind of pull all of the website content as well. So yeah, your website just becoming your hub essentially. So that's sort of like a medium term, the next kind of year, couple of years, the AI and AEO is going to get more and more important, we think. And obviously, we're putting a lot of effort into Loop and the features there to make sure we're in front of the curve on that one. And then, kind of longer term, is this kind of shifting discovery, which there's just kind of a few stats here, really, just to touch on this. But just bearing in mind that 41% of Gen Z now turn to social first rather than like Google and traditional SEO. So this idea that kind of traditional SEO and ads are starting to shift more and more to social and AI. So yeah, the kind of longer term trends that we see is this kind of shift towards social first, so social SEO, and then this kind of 1 in 3 users prefer to search on social first across all ages. So yeah, kind of Instagram and TikTok content gets more and more important. And again, you can kind of frame that so that if you're posting content to those places, try and think, what question does this content answer? So it's just shifting your mindset to think in kind of FAQs and questions and answers the whole time as well. Certainly, if you're trying to encourage visits, obviously, if it's just kind of entertaining and making people laugh, then that's less key, of course. And then the other trend, obviously, is just the growth in ChatGPT usage. So that was like the fastest service to get to 100 million users. So um, that's going to get more and more entwined in people's lives as well. And obviously, as Google and Apple start building it more into the mobile phones directly, just making sure all of your data and content is available to the AI agents is going to get more and more important. So we think, obviously, to keep control, you need to own your data. And in terms of data, that's content, FAQs, guest email databases, and analytics. So you want kind of great systems in place so that you can own and grow and make all this data as accurate as possible as well. So that's kind of the threats and opportunities where we see the kind of AI going. I think that's pretty much everything. So where to start with all of this? Distilling it right back. So if you've seen me talk before, I'm a fan of this kind of weekly mobile review. So just grab your team, get everyone to get their phones, grab a coffee, and then just do a little mini 15-20 minute chat around, okay, what's the first impressions on our homepage? Have we come up in ChatGPT for certain queries? What about the Google AI search results? What are the first impressions like? And then just brainstorm around any of the ideas I've talked about earlier in the presentation as well. And then every month, get your wider team involved and review the whole booking process and identify these kind of 1% improvements as well. Loads of other practical tools and resources. So we've talked about the NICE framework, of course, talked about the digital survival guide. So grab a copy of that. Or if you want a hard copy, drop me a message and I can post some out. Mobile first website reviews, just talked about that. Obviously, the weekly reviews. The 5-second first impressions is a really good one. And this is some of the stuff we build into like user testing videos as well for websites. You sort of start with asking users what their first impressions are, and then that can kind of give you nuggets as well to start getting more details. We've also got like a cool kind of website optimization canvas. So if you want to get more strategic and look at like your scorecard and lift model, then drop me a line and I can give you a link to that. The lift model is on there as well. So that's all about making sure everything's as clear, relevant, and as simple as possible for your guests and reducing any distractions and anxiety. And obviously, your kind of scorecard and reviews are all on here as well. So I think that's basically everything, which feels like I've given you a whistle-stop tour, waking everyone up on a Monday morning or sent everyone to sleep, either way. But so hopefully you got some smart tools, some kind of new habits and systems, just always think mobile first, think about the AI search, um, and maybe start thinking about those areas in the NICE framework that can kind of help you move forward. I think that's everything. So yeah, get in touch. Happy to chat in more detail or any questions as people kind of sit in stunned silence.
Yeah, Neil, I think as always, it's always interesting to see how much you can squeeze information-wise into these
I
short
always put too
webinars.
much.
And no, it's fantastic. But I do think, luckily, we record this and people have a chance to go back and have a look because there was a lot of
I can
great
slow it down.
lists in there. A few words I hadn't heard before, which I'll go back and have a look at. But yeah, really good. Thanks for that. Appreciate all the time and effort you put into these. And I'm sure, as we have done previously, we'll have another update with you in due course because, as you said, all of this is moving as well at the moment. So really good. And I'll catch up with you at IARPA next week, Neil. So we'll have a chat anyway. And also for everybody
And
else,
back.
conscious we are a little bit out of time, but for those of you who are in some of the categories of the UK Theme Park Awards on Thursday, good luck. And if you're at Wicksteed, I'll see you there because Balpa will have a strong showing there with a lot of members in a lot of categories. So once again, thanks very much, Neil. Thanks for everyone for joining us on this Monday. And I'll see some of you at the next webinar or in due course. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.